everyone, welcome back to Love Relationships Real Talk. I'm Phoebe Smith. So this episode is going to look at the different roles we play inside of our love relationship dynamic. So everybody brings specific ways of being into a relationship, good or bad. And we've developed these ways of being over time in our lives. And then when we get into a relationship, they sort of play out. So it's a really good insight to have when you're dealing with relationships to understand the roles that various people play within your relationship dynamic. So you can kind of pinpoint, oh, that's the role that they're playing, and this is the benefits, and these are the negatives that they might be bringing into the relationship, and how am I going to work with those things? And they can look at the same things in regards to us. So actually, this is a very cool relationship tag type of question, because you can try to figure out what role your partner is, and they can try to figure out what role you are. And then have a discussion around how you can best interact with one another given your roles. So I do have a little disclaimer before I start talking about the different roles, because this happens all the time. One of the things that gave me this idea is that I've done many workshops where we do this activity, because it helps people to understand what personalities they're working with. And so what normally comes up in this activity is that people find that they have bits and pieces in their character or their ways of being in several different roles. So that's fine, and that's totally true, that you have different ways of being that might show up in different roles. However, what most instructors say around that issue or that problem that might arise as you're trying to figure out what specific role you are is that most people lean toward a particular way of being. So try to be very specific in looking at your characteristics so that you can try to put yourself in a specific role, one or two, so that you can give a little bit more, that it'll allow you to look at yourself in a specific way and not give up on the whole idea that you're not one or the other, and then therefore not being able to apply the tools that you can apply, knowing which role you actually are. There's 6 roles that I've created for you to look at in terms of which category you might fit yourself into primarily. So we have the coach, we have the star player, we have the manager, we have the explorer, we have the peacemaker, and we have the politician. So I'm going to go through each of the roles and talk about some of the overarching, very broad general characteristics that each one of them might bring to the any particular relationship. And then I'm going to share with you the pros and the cons of being that particular role. The first role is the coach. With the coach, you have the planner. You have the person that gets everybody together and organized. That person is consistent and they're reliable. The cons. The cons of the coach are they may ignore their own needs in the relationship dynamic. And also, they might create this sort of dependency on themselves for everybody to get done what they need to get done. So if the coach is not there, nothing gets done, basically. So there's this dependency that the coach basically makes everything happen. So that's a con, because then it disables other people from being able to be independent and do what they need to do in their own lives. Next role I want to share with you is the star player. So the star player, everybody wants a star player on their team, right? They want someone who brings a lot to the table, which your star player does. They have a specific skill set that really benefits the team. And they also make the team look good. Who doesn't want to look good? Who doesn't want other people looking in on your relationship dynamic and seeing all of these great things happening, all these assets that make you, a top-notch couple or family. The cons to having a star player on the team is that there really isn't a lot of room for growth for other people, because of course the star player sort of takes over all the glory and it dims the shine that the other team players on the team could possibly grow into or exhibit at any particular time. But because all the focus is on the star player, a lot of those things are not seen from the other players. And so those are some cons that would come up for having a star player on the team. Have the manager. The manager pulls everything together. They make things happen. They're the goal setters. They're the go-getters. And they can manage every aspect of that process to make sure that the team gets their goals. They are the strong side of the partnership when you have a manager on the team. They take control, which can also be on the con side, right? So on the con side, if the manager is always taking control, then that doesn't really give space for other people to make a contribution to the team. If the manager is always doing it, or they are always having their fingers in the pie, not allowing other people to participate. Also, the manager at times may overlook or disregard the input of other people on the team because they're so used to being in the control position that you ignore, or you kind of like get this tunnel vision about how the dynamic goes, and not really allowing for other people to step into that role, and sometimes stepping back, which the benefit of that is it brings balance to the team. It helps each member feel worthy and feel like they have input that contributes to the family unit in general. Okay. And then we have the explorer. The explorer is the exciting person who keeps things alive and moving and keeps people on their toes. They're spontaneous. They love to take risks, and they are fun-loving individuals. These people breathe life into the relationship dynamic. So the explorer is someone that although they bring all of these great assets, on the con side of it, they also make people feel unstable, like they don't know what's going to happen next, that some things need to be planned, and with the explorer in the mix, that plan can be thwarted or abandoned more times than most people in the relationship dynamic would like. About this with the explorer is that although they feel super comfortable in this unpredictable, unstable space, it might make their partner feel the exact opposite. Our next role is Peacemaker. And I have a special kinship to this role because I've been a peacemaker all my life. This is my lane. And so I'm going to read what I came up with for that, because there's so many aspects to the role that I play that I want to stay focused. So the pros for the peacemaker are that they care deeply for each member of the family, and they take on the responsible wellness of each member. They also bring calm to chaos, and they are highly invested in everyone feeling safe. The cons are every relationship that you're in goes through various dynamics and situations that are uncomfortable. And those emotions for peacemakers makes us feel unsafe. And so what we try to do is we try to relax it, calm it down, and bring order and peace back to the situation. But sometimes disorder and chaos and emotion and energy needs to run its course in the relationship in order for you to get to the other side of being a unit, of being a family, a couple, and having grown and gone through those difficult times. You have to be able to go through that pain and that discomfort. And so for the peacemaker, they have to be able to allow for that. The last role that I want to introduce to you is the politician. So the politician is thoughtful, charismatic, great communicator, very analytical. They're very sexy in that they can meet you at any emotional level you are. So for me, this has always been like a huge turn on for people to be able to meet me at a high psychological, emotional level, and to be able to play in that arena. So a politician is able to do that, and they're very intriguing to be around and to be with. The cons for the politician, believe it or not, there are cons for the politician. The cons for the politician is that at times they can be manipulative and dogmatic in their views. They can be predominantly consumed with looking for ways to be right inside of your relationship. Because they're highly intellectual individuals, they can sort of break down processes because they're in their heads a lot, and the emotional aspect of what might need to happen doesn't get the opportunity to come into play. And that might be allowing that for the politician themselves to be able to do that, to get in contact with their emotions, and for them to allow their partner to come in contact with their emotions, because they're in this constant conversation, high level thinking conversation about what's going on and how it can be addressed or fixed or whatever. And they a lot of times believe that they have the answer. Those are the 6 roles that I've come up with about what you may be doing inside of your love relationship. So like I said in the beginning of the video, you want to look at where you might predominantly show up inside of these different roles, and then take on accentuating your pros and shifting the cons so that it works better with the person that you're in relationship with, given their roles. So it's a really cool conversation that you can have with your partner, and I hope this information supported you in having a more balanced and healthier love relationship. Because after all, what are these relationships for? To help us heal, learn, and grow. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon on Love Relationships, Real Talk. Don't forget to like my videos, please leave the comments, and even better, subscribe to my channel. See you next time.